Did you know that 88% of online consumers are less likely to return to a website after just one bad experience? I mean, that is a staggering number, right? Well, welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to be uncovering the invisible backbone that powers literally every successful digital experience you've ever had and saves companies from becoming part of that nasty statistic. Have you ever wondered why some websites feel completely effortless to use while others just leave you wanting to throw your laptop straight out the window? The secret isn't the graphic design, and it's definitely not the code. It's actually a hidden master plan called information architecture. So let's pull back the curtain and see how the digital world is really built.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to visualize a visceral nightmare scenario for a second. You walk into a massive supermarket just to buy a simple apple. But right next to the apples, there are flat screen TVs. Below the TVs, there's just a random pile of loose socks. You look up, and there are absolutely no signs hanging from the ceiling. Nothing is categorized. The whole shebang is completely, utterly random. Take a second and ask yourself, how incredibly frustrated would you be in that store? You'd probably turn right around and walk out, right?
That exact pull your hair out frustration is exactly what getting lost online feels like. There is a massive contrast between a good supermarket, with its clear signs, logical sections, and predictable product placement, and a bad, chaotic one, defined by randomly placed items and absolutely no labels. When you visit a website and can't find what you're looking for, it's not because you aren't tech-savvy. Don't blame yourself. It's because the digital supermarket you're standing in has completely failed at its basic structure.
So, to untangle all this digital chaos, here is our roadmap for the Explainer today. We'll start with the digital blueprint, then move to why good IA matters, and check out the anatomy of architecture. After that, we'll see IA in the real world, cover building IA step by step, and finally wrap things up inside the UX designer's mindset.
All right, let's start right at the foundation with Section 1, the digital blueprint. What exactly is this invisible backbone?
So, information architecture, or IA for short, is the practice of organizing, structuring, and labeling content so users can easily complete tasks. Think about it like a physical building. Long before a contractor ever lays bricks or paints the walls, an architect maps out exactly where the doors and hallways are going to go so you don't accidentally walk into a broom closet when you're just trying to find the kitchen. A UX designer does the exact same thing, but digitally. They build a foundation before anyone ever even thinks about color palettes or fonts.
And honestly, doing this right requires a massive mental shift. A great UX designer doesn't sit around asking, where does our marketing team want to put this page? Instead, they ask, where will a user actually expect to find it? Good architecture isn't about how your company's organized internally. It's a total shift from internal, business-centric thinking to pure user-centric empathy. It's about designing for the user's natural instincts. Moving right along to Section 2, let's talk about the real-world stakes of getting this structure right versus getting it horribly, horribly wrong. The stakes here are absolutely crucial. When IA is good, users find information quickly, and that builds immense trust, speeds up whatever they're trying to do, and directly drives up conversions and sales. But when IA is poor, you don't just mildly annoy people. Bounce rates literally skyrocket, meaning users are bailing on your site within seconds. Your customer support lines get flooded with easily avoidable questions. Sales plummet, brand perception turns entirely negative, and the ultimate penalty? Your frustrated users simply take their money straight to a competitor who bothered to build a better digital blueprint.
Now that we know the stakes, let's explore Section 3, the anatomy of architecture. How exactly do we build this thing?
Now, what's really interesting about this is how every single successful digital interface you use relies entirely on these four foundational pillars working together. First is organization, grouping related items, kind of like keeping all the laptops and tablets in an electronics aisle. Second is labeling, using clear, understandable names. Third is navigation, the menus, footer links, and search bars that let us seamlessly move around. And fourth is hierarchy, organizing information so it flows logically from very broad concepts all the way down to highly specific details. And this brilliantly illustrates the hilarious contrast between good and bad labeling. We've all seen companies try to sound overly clever, right? Calling a simple contact us page a communication gateway or a synergy portal. I mean, it's a bit funny, but functionally, it's a total structural failure. Clear, simple terminology will always, always be corporate jargon. Seriously, don't make your user solve a riddle just to find your phone number. Let's move to Section 4 and see IA out in the wild. We're going to deconstruct some massive platforms to reveal their hidden skeletons. Take two absolute giants, Netflix and Amazon. Both have flawless IA, but they achieve it differently based on completely different user psychology. Netflix groups content logically, but they go incredibly deep, creating thousands of highly specific micro-genres behind the scenes, so you spend less time randomly scrolling and way more time actively watching. Amazon, on the other hand, deals with millions of distinct physical products, so their structure relies heavily on a robust search bar, deep filters, and related item recommendations just to help you sift through the sheer volume of stuff. So, the crucial point is how Amazon structures its hierarchy to handle those millions of items. You start super broad at the homepage. Then you step a bit narrower into electronics. Then, mobile phones. Down to smartphones. And finally, boom, you land on the specific Apple iPhone. This exact path effortlessly guides a user from a massive warehouse of global inventory down to one highly specific product, without them ever feeling overwhelmed or lost. Now, contrast those well-oiled giants with a classic disaster scenario, the unorganized university website. A good university site flows naturally, from home to admissions to courses, matching a prospective student's mental model perfectly. But a bad university website? It's a labyrinth of random links, internal department jargon, and confusing duplicate pages. When an 18-year-old student hits that maze, they don't enthusiastically dig deeper to solve the puzzle. They just experience immediate frustration, close the tab, and apply somewhere else. So, how do we make sure we don't build that terrible university website? Let's transition to Section 5, Building IA Step by Step. Let's move to and see how this builds, detailing this exact 5-step process like a master architect sharing trade secrets. Step 1 is user research, actually interviewing real people to uncover their true needs. Step 2 is a real game changer, card sorting. Designers literally give users index cards with topics on them and ask them to group the cards, revealing the user's natural mental model. Step 3 is a content audit to see what's outdated or missing. Step 4 is creating the sitemap, which is the visual tree of the entire site. And finally, Step 5 is testing, validating the structure with real users before a single line of expensive code is ever written. And that brings us to our final segment, Section 6, the UX designer's mindset. Let's synthesize everything we've covered today. Here are the 3 absolutely critical takeaways from our explainer. First, IA is the foundation. A beautiful, flashy screen simply cannot save a confusing underlying structure. Interface design always comes secondary to structural organization. Second, design for mental models. You must structure content exactly how your users think, not how your company is organized. And third, continuous testing. Good IA is never, ever guessed. It is rigorously validated through persistent research and testing. Ultimately, the absolute highest compliment you can pay to good IA is that you didn't notice it at all. Users should never have to think hard about where information is located. Good IA is meant to feel entirely natural, completely effortless, and beautifully invisible. So armed with these master blueprints, I leave you with this question. What digital house will you build next? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy building.